Welcome to the broadcast. This is what we have prepared for you.
Tonight, Migori Governor Okoth Obado is taken ill while in custody. But back in his county, service delivery nearly grinds to a halt as workers abscond duty.
Also tonight,
one was caught and went with these people to a place where we do not know, but eventually she was found unconscious in Kariobangi.
how two school children escaped from the grip of their kidnappers, an NTV exclusive that sheds light into cases of child kidnappings in the capital.
Plus, talks between Teachers Union and the Teachers Service Commission to avert strike ends in acrimony. We have more on the row over the transfer of teachers that cut short the 5-day Naivasha retreat.
And also tonight,
it's too much to spend on beautification when there are other pressing issues.
Nairobi County's latest 50 million shillings makeover that is losing its appeal among county residents.
NTV Tonight with Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
Thank you for joining us. Our sign language interpreter tonight is David Agondoa, and you can watch us live on ntv.co.ke/live or on NTV Kenya, that is on Twitter, YouTube and Facebook.
Migori Governor Okoth Obado has been admitted at the Kenyatta National Hospital due to illness.
The governor, who was expected back in court on Monday, the 8th of October, is said to have suffered inflamed arthritis and is being treated.
This as reports coming out of the county showed a number of county employees have been absconding duty since the governor was detained.
The Migori governor, who has been a guest of the state for the last week, was rushed to the Kenyatta National Hospital Wednesday afternoon. He had been complaining of stomach pains for the better part of the morning. NTV has learnt that he is at the general ward and will be under supervision from prison warders during his stay at the facility. Obado has been charged with being an accessory to murder and has been at the industrial area remand and allocation prison. Obado is expected to apply afresh to be released on bond after the court dismissed his first application. The court is expected to issue a date when the trial will start. Meanwhile, the family of his former lover, Sharon Otieno, is preparing to lay her to rest almost a month and a half since her body was discovered in a thicket near Oyugi's town. Sharon, who at the time of her death was heavy with child, will be buried next to her young one, who was laid to rest earlier at Sharon's grandfather's homestead. The family has denied reports that they demanded money from the county for the upkeep of the children left behind by the late Sharon and for funeral expenses. The 8th, Obado will be back in court while the people of the county he governs will be back to the polls to elect a new senator following the death of Ben Olwoch Okello, who passed on in June this year. About 8 candidates have expressed their desire to fill the seat. Meanwhile, some Migori residents have complained of slow service delivery, saying Governor Okoth Obado's detention over murder has resulted in laxity. Residents who spoke to the Daily Nation have claimed that most offices other than the public health facilities have been abandoned. With the governor away, workers have been making technical appearances. The lands, accounts, roads and water departments are the most affected. Deputy Governor Nelson Mahanga Mwita has officially assumed the role of running the affairs of the county. Leila Mohammed, NTV.
Yeah.
2 female pupils of Sitam group of schools in Buruburu escaped the grip of alleged kidnappers on Sunday after one of the dramatic responses of the girls scared them into letting her go.
The other girl was, however, reluctant and remained in the custody of the suspected abductors for much longer and was later found in Kariobangi estate. This incident has painted a clearer picture of how abductions are being carried out in Nairobi. Charity Mwangi has the details.
According to the in-charge at Sitam Group of Schools, Reverend Kennedy Kimiwe, the girls whose identities remain protected left the Sitam Church in Buruburu after Sunday school with the permission of their parents, who remained behind to attend a meeting within the church grounds. The parents did not question their decision to let the girls go home alone because they are 11 years of age and considerably responsible. Also, this was not the first time that the girls were making the trip alone.
Somebody who came and whisked them away Incidentally, one of them was able to kind of struggle her way and ran away and was not able to be caught. But one was caught and went with these people to a place where we do not know. But eventually she was found unconscious in Kariobangi.
The girls, upon being found, were taken to Metropolitan Hospital in Buruburu, where they received medical attention. The parents reported the incident to the police, who have since started the investigations, which the parents and the school administration hope will reveal the identity of the alleged kidnappers.
Children like those, particularly girls, are abducted so that they can be used for other ways. Some of them are easily probably taken into prostitution. There are those who probably even introduce drugs to such children so that they can now start being dependent on drugs.
The school has beefed up security, but they insist that parents ought to be responsible for children once they leave school by ensuring that they are always in the company of a responsible adult, and also they are taught on what to do whenever they come across a stranger who is seemingly too friendly. According to the Child Welfare Society of Kenya's program officer Richard Njoroge, many parents do not know of other organizations who can help them expedite the recovery of missing children.
Our office helps in the publication of the children in the media for purposes of tracing their families.
Once a child has been found, further investigations are done to ensure that the children end up with their rightful guardians and not usurpers with sinister motives.
They have to come with some sort of proof that this is their child. Photos, clinic cards. We do the social inquiry report, which entails interviewing the parent and visiting their home to assess where they come from and where the child will go to. After that, we also facilitate and conduct the DNA testing.
Charity Mwangi, NTV.
A retreat between the Kenya Union of Teachers and Teachers Service Commission on controversial issues in the implementation of the 2017-2021 collective bargaining agreement ended in acrimony after TSC failed to yield to NAT's demands to reverse the transfer of 85 teachers.
And as Vincent Odor reports, the 5-day retreat ended way ahead of schedule, as NAT maintains it will not sit down with the teacher's employer until its demands are met.
After just 3 days into the 5-day consultative meeting in Naivasha that brought together TSC and NAT officials to bridge differences that would see teachers boycott work ahead of the national exams, both sides left the meeting ahead of schedule and as far apart as ever.
Either as recurrent.
The meeting hoped to address some thorny concerns such as the promotion of teachers, career progression, and the teachers' appraisal program, but it ended in disagreement. According to TSC, on the 3rd day of the deliberations, NAT tabled a list of 85 head teachers who were among others who had been transferred within the year, demanding that their transfer be revoked on grounds that they were elected union officials. However, TSC would hear none of it. The teacher's employer says it would amount to giving preferential treatment for the 85 out of the 321,000 teachers in public institutions who have been transferred. According to TSC, teachers are bound by the Code of Regulation for Teachers, where they are primarily employed to teach, and that an election to any union office cannot amend the contract between an employee and employer. NAT officials are yet to speak on this latest development. Vincent Odur, NTV.
Detectives from the Special Crimes Unit Homicide Section are planning to visit Juba in order to conduct further investigations into the brutal murder of Monica Kimani.
NTV's Seth Olale also reports that the investigating team questioned more witnesses connected to the 3 suspects in police custody as the probe intensifies.
Detectives plan to fly to Juba, where Monica had been managing the family business, among other activities. Detectives believe the slain woman was also robbed on the night she died. The visit to Juba is meant to clear the air on the nature of what she was doing there and her associates. Detectives are investigating the possibility that one of the suspects in police custody may have visited Juba shortly before Monica came to Kenya. At least 4 witnesses have positively identified Joseph Kuria Irongo, alias Joey, as having been at Monica Nyawira Kimani's home on the night of a murder last month. Irungu is believed to be the last person who visited Monica Kimani's Lamuria Gardens apartment in Kilimani off Dennis Pretty Road. Witnesses who positively identified Joseph Irungu on the tragic night include neighbors who spent some time with Monica at her apartment shortly after she arrived in the country from South Sudan. Detectives from the DCI Special Crimes Unit Homicide Section who took over the investigations from the Kilimani police station counterparts who were with the late Monica Kimani the last minute. Those who were questioned today at the Directorate of Criminal Investigations headquarters are taxi driver who dropped the late Monica at her Lamuria Gardens apartment in Kilimani from the airport, her watchmen, neighbors and friends who came to see her at her residence. Police are hunting for Joey's 4 friends, including a medical doctor who he spoke to shortly after he left Monica's apartment before switching off his phone. Communication records retrieved by detectives indicate that Joseph Irungu sent a distress call to his friends seeking advice. Seth Olale, NTV.
2 separate ventures to beautify the capital, Nairobi, have added up to nearly 100 million shillings.
The first 48 million shillings project by former Governor Evans Kidero, who planted his famed Kidero grass, failed. And now Governor Mike Sonko hopes he will sustain his 50 million shillings venture.
But for many of Nairobi's residents, this is just another county misadventure, Mel Miendo reports.
Nairobi beautification program was initialized by former Nairobi Governor Dr. Evans Kidero. Now at the time, about 48 million Kenya shillings was said to have been pumped in that project. Enter in Governor Mike Sonko and yet again the same project, this time 50 million Kenya shillings of taxpayers' money. We get to find out from Kenyans whether this is worth it or not.
It's too much to spend on beautification when there are other pressing issues like the hospitals, the health, people are sleeping outside bila amenities.
Haisaidii sana. Of course inasaidia kwa beauty, kuonekana chichi inaonekana vizuri, but imetumia pesa mingi.
This was 2015 when the grass in the capital got a bit of the Obamacare ahead of the former US president's visit to the country. The infamous Kidero grass cost the county 48 million shillings. The Auditor General raised questions on how the money for the exercise was obtained, yet it had not been included in the budget for the 2015-2016 financial year. The project lost its glamour a year after the important visits by the then US President and the Pope. The grass withered as it wasn't being watered and was uprooted. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko is now working on another beautification program that is expected to cost millions of shillings.
If only to maintain, because you remember we had the Kidero grass which was looking good, but it didn't last. So is it helping the common wananchi? Fine, the city looks beautiful and all. Is there water to maintain that? Those are the things we should look at.
In September 2018, the Nairobi County government warned residents against stepping on grass and flower beds planted along major roads in the capital. But the whole idea has lost its appeal for many of the county residents who not only feel the venture is too costly, but there are many other pressing concerns.
But hapo pia kiasi pia takuwa tumefinywa. Hiyo 50M iko mob sana.
Wangerekebisha kidogo, but tunaona tumefinywa kiasi. Kuna vile tumefinywa, lakini sasa hatuna sauti.
Mel Miendo, NTV.
Mel Miendo looked like one of the flowers that adorn the highway there.
She was part of the story.
Yes. Well, the Speaker of the National Assembly, Justin Muturi, will on Tuesday next week lead members of the Powers and Privileges Committee to visit the ladies' washroom in Parliament as part of their investigations into the allegations of MPs receiving bribes during the sugar probe debate in Parliament.
The ladies' toilet has now become a major area of interest for the committee. This is after Kiambu Women Representative Gadhoni Wamushombe claimed that it is from inside the washroom that she heard certain legislators in the toilet cubicles discussing how much money they had received to shoot down the sugar probe report.
Majority of the committee members are men, and it will be unusual for them to freely access the ladies' toilets that are prohibited area for men. The committee has finished its witness sessions, with Nyeri Woman Representative Rehab Mukami being the last to appear.
I think it is important to. I noticed that many of us were a bit unclear as to how somebody would be making a face and waiting to go to the loo and then be able to hear others discussing the story. It's not supposed to be for men. And I can see several of members of this committee are of the male gender, so we need to vacate the place as quickly as possible.
Education Cabinet Secretary Amina Mohammed says the National Assembly's Education Committee has not contacted her personally on the issues it would wanted addressed.
The Education CS was responding to accusations by committee members that she had snubbed their summons and was instead engaged in constant travels when they need her to clarify issues in the education sector.
NTV's education reporter Sharon Baranga with the details.
It is a busy time on the education calendar. Apart from preparation of the national examinations, there are issues that have to do with the new curriculum, as well as the welfare of learners whose lives were disrupted following clashes in the Mau. All these issues that need responses from the ministry appear to have made the committee in charge of education in the National Assembly anxious. And when the CS did not turn up for a meeting scheduled for 10 a.m. on Tuesday, she says they did not get in touch.
They haven't discussed those issues that are in the press with me. They discussed it with the media, so maybe you would be in the right place to respond to that. So the issues that are raised in the media, I think haven't been raised with me, and so I'll wait until they're raised with me before I can respond to them.
Members of the Education Committee had criticized the Education CS for what they view as a snub.
We had slated to have this meeting with the CS, and even on Thursday, and the CS has just given us two apologies, writing a letter to postpone a meeting of today. He's also postponing a meeting on Thursday, which we as a committee, they are not taking things seriously.
How can people travel outside the country from when? For 3 weeks, staying outside the country, spending a lot of money out there, and when their key responsibility is in the country here.
To the President, Your Excellency, we need in education somebody who is hands-on.
We are really disappointed because we had serious issues that we are going to discuss, more especially concerning the exams which are just around the corner, and then we get letters.
The CS says ministry is satisfied with feedback on the competence-based curriculum that is already in its piloting stage.
We plan to supply necessary curriculum materials to all schools to enhance the learning and teaching environment. We also plan to step up the level of preparedness among teachers to handle the CBC.
The government hopes to fully roll out the competence-based curriculum for grades 1 to 3 in 2019.
And on national exam preparations, the Ministry of Education says that the number of schools under their surveillance could go up from 30, dependent on their investigations. Other than that, they have increased the number of containers so as to shorten the distance to schools.
Only the center manager will have a telephone, and that telephone will be monitored 24 hours a day to make sure that the information that's getting into that phone, right, is information that is kosher.
Candidates registered to sit for KCSE will begin their theory exam with the first paper of mathematics on 5th November, while Class 8 candidates will begin their KCPE at the end of this month. Sharon Baranga, NTV.
Kiminini MP Chris Wamalwa has an uphill task convincing fellow MPs to support his quest for a change of the election date from the second Tuesday of August to the third Monday of December in an election year. Opinion is divided on whether the matter requires a referendum or a threshold of 233 MPs.
The chairperson of the National Assembly Justice and Legal Affairs Committee argues the question of whether the matter requires a referendum can only be interpreted by the courts. Kennedy Mureithi reports.
Wednesday's morning session of the National Assembly sitting gave an opportunity for MPs to finalize debate on a bill before them from Kiminini MP Chris Wamalwa proposing to change the date of the general election from August to December. While there are those who feel the idea is viable and will go a long way in preserving the tradition of holding our polls in December, there are those who just feel the drafters of the Constitution, who saw it wise that the election date be moved to August, were in their right senses.
If you go to Western Kenya, for instance, they have their circumcision, which is a cultural rite, which is essential for that part of the society in the month they tell you. But
the issue of the interference with the school calendar works equally and favorably. It doesn't matter which month you take. Why? Because the election cycle, intensive election cycle, is about 3 months. Although we tend to campaign for 5 years, but the very intensive election cycle is about 3 months. The longest holiday we have is 2 months. So whichever month, 2 months you take, there is going to be an extra month that will interfere with the school calendar.
If you look at the corporates, the corporate world, the companies, Mr. Speaker, most of them, they do their financial reporting at the end of the year, which is around December, November, December. And therefore, it's easier for anybody who is working in a company to get permission off, to get a few days off around December.
Even the pastoralists, during August, that is when they are moving their animals from one region to the other region looking for green pastures. But in December, it is already raining. They have gone back to their homes. So I don't think anything is going to affect anybody in any way.
Wamalwa argues that a majority of Kenyans are siding with him on this subject, a fact that has been buttressed by the Justice and Legal Affairs Committee of the National Assembly, which sought views from the public, and according to their report, 70% of the respondents agree that the date should be changed.
We have a requirement that our budget cycle, we read our budgets at the time of July, and that particular time, Mr. Speaker, Parliament will be campaigning. Nobody will be here. Will not get the quorum.
The month of December is very important for our economy, tourism-wise, and if we mix it again with politics, we'll have more to lose than we lose in August. So, in my own opinion, I would think the date, as it is in the Constitution, serves the greater good for the country.
As the debate rages and the ball is thrown back into Wamalwa's court to try out his lobbying skills, the issue on whether a change of date will tinker with the term of the president, thus necessitating a referendum, gives it a new dimension.
But this is not a referendum issue because it's within the 5th year. We are not extending the term of the president.
It is the business of the House to legislate. It is the business of Parliament to make laws, and that aspect will be left to the courts to interpret.
The last time this matter was on the floor of the House, only 6 members were required to meet the threshold of 233 members' support. On this particular time, this bill has gone through all the processes, and Chris Wamalwa finds himself in the same quagmire to find support from 233 members. The Speaker has given him time to find that support. Kennedy Mureithi, NTV at Parliament Buildings.
NTV Tonight takes a short break.
But when we come back, we tell you what the future holds for ODM MPs Aisha Jumwa and Suleiman Dori.
Welcome back. The bitter exchange of words pitting Murang'a County Government and the Ministry of Water and Sanitation over the management of the precious resource in the county continues, with members of Murang'a County Assembly vowing to continue with plans of formulating a water bill which will demand part of revenue realized from water supply to Nairobi County.
A move that Water CS Simon Chelugui has protested, saying it is tantamount to a criminal offence. NTV Zainab Ismail with more.
The turbulence rocking the management of water in Murang'a County continues. A tug of war over who should be in charge between Murang'a County and the national government appears to have no end in sight. In a press conference on Wednesday, Murang'a County MCAs said they will not be cowed in formulating a bill which will demand a percentage of revenue generated from water supplied in Nairobi.
To our view, they could have discussed the general idea and the bigger agenda of 25% revenue.
These sentiments come even as Water Cabinet Secretary Simon Chelugui says the push to demand water revenue from Nairobi is criminal.
The misunderstanding and the illegal actions of Murang'a County has led to revenue loss and put into jeopardy very many jobs of the public officers who work in the company, and revenue collection through which loans used to develop the infrastructure are supposed to be paid.
Murang'a Governor Mwangi had earlier accused Chelugui of playing politics to protect interests of a water company.
Water is mine as a county governor, but Munga is actually compromising security system and he's compromising the minister. And I want to repeat that this 25% we must sit down and discuss.
There is no river that is actually within one county. All rivers flow from county to county.
On Tuesday, the Water CS told the National Assembly's Committee on Lands, Environment and Natural Resources that the current water woes in Murang'a are fanned by political interferences and personal differences between the Murang'a governor and some chairmen of local water companies. Murang'a MCAs led by the Assembly Majority Leader Eric Kamande are backing the governor against CS Chelugui.
On Monday, we'll be doing the public participation at Dakaine, where we were the other week, where we were chased, we were tear gassed, but we won't relent. We are still going back there.
Chelugui has, however, faulted the county leaders for being adamant about the matter, which has dragged on for weeks without resolution. Chelugui says the World Bank has already withheld 130 million shillings loan to Murang'a Water and Sanitation Company due to the unending water disputes with the county. Murang'a residents will continue feeling the heat following the tug of war between the county government and the Ministry of Water and Sanitation that now trades on murky waters. As Water CS Simon Chelugui puts on notice Murang'a Governor Mwangi over actions that he says is tantamount to criminal offence. Zainab Ismail, NTV.
Police in Bureti, Kericho County are holding a man who killed his 14-year-old son after he refused to go to school. David Malel allegedly beat up his son with a stick on his head because he had skipped school for 3 days. The boy succumbed to his injuries upon arrival at the Kapkatet Sub-County Hospital.
The boy was a Class 6 pupil at Jasaga Primary School in Bureti. Bureti OCPD Mohammed Ali said that they had recovered the stick the boy had been hit with, and once the investigations are done, the suspect would be arraigned in court.
Baba mtoto ameshikwa, ako ndani ya custody ya polisi na atastakiwa na mada. So kwa ufupi na wazazi wakati ambayo wanaadhibu mtoto akikosea, wasitumie hizo excessive force ambaye inakuja kupoteza maisha ya mtoto.
ODM will begin the process of removing 2 renegade Coast members of Parliament after they publicly indicated they will not be appearing before the disciplinary committee on Thursday to show cause why they should continue to remain in the party after aligning themselves with the Jubilee Party.
Malindi Member of Parliament Aisha Jumwa and Ham Sambweni counterpart Suleiman Dori have in more than one occasion publicly declared their support for Deputy President William Ruto and his Jubilee Party and even dared ODM to throw them out of the party.
Jumwa, who also serves in the powerful Parliamentary Service Commission, and Dori have also been accused of openly showing disrespect for the party's leader Raila Odinga. The law, however, requires that before they are removed, they must be allowed to defend themselves either in person or through their lawyers. But by the beginning of the month, the two had not indicated if they will appear or not.
And if they don't, then the party will begin the next stage of removing them. ODM wrote to the two in June asking them to explain why disciplinary action should not be taken against them. ODM also attempted to remove Jumwa from the Parliamentary Service Commission but failed after Jubilee allied legislators supported her stay as a member.
Mheshimiwa Rais, uni bado ina matatizo. Ukimalizana na majaoni tafadhali tuende Kashani, tuende Mwakirunge, mboa majaoni vikianzishwa. Na sasa nafikiri ni miaka
mwatuona sisi tushapanda na twaitwa hatushuki. Na hatukupanda peke yetu, sisi si wachoyo kwamba madaraja yatajengwa wengine waatwe. Tunaipanda hii meli na watu wetu nyinyi. Na kila anayetaka kupanda na Aisha Jumwa kwenye meli hii hivi sasa na anyoshe mkono.
Sisi hatutochoka. Tutazidi kufuatana na serikali, tutazidi kufuatana na naibu wa rais. Alimuhimu anatusikiza na anawafanyia watu wa Pwani. Hii mambo wanazungumza, sijui utaitwa disciplinary, utaitwa nini, hii yote ni upuzi. Sisi hatuoni kama ni kitu ya maana.
The Baringo County Health Sector has embarked on a testing and vaccinating drive for residents following increasing cases of hepatitis B virus in the county.
The health team took their campaign to Kapkuikui in Baringo North, where hundreds appear to have contacted the virus, with several deaths resulting from the same reported.
The disease, which is common in lowland areas of Baringo, which include Barwesa, Majimoto and Mogotio, has seen hundreds of Baringo population testing positive with the virus.
The county government is calling upon the residents to report any cases of the virus to the nearest health center. We're taking another short break. In a short while, we'll be having business news. Stay with us.
Now for the business news, President Uhuru Kenyatta is expected to officially open the 2018 Nairobi International Trade Fair at the Jamhuri grounds tomorrow. The annual trade fair that started yesterday is expected to end this Sunday. Unlike the first 2 days, today Kenyans came out in great numbers to visit the various stands at the showground. There was barely enough walking space at some stands that drew the curiosity of Kenyans. Police officers and security agencies beefed up security with patrols ahead of the president's visit tomorrow. Nairobi Governor Mike Sonko visited the Jamhuri Park. The climax of the trade fair will be the Champion Bull auction. Last year, President Kenyatta won in the bid to buy the 700 kilograms Champion Bull at 1.2 million shillings. This year, the heaviest bull is the 1.2-ton Boran breeding bull.
Turnout, I think this year's is better. Though the official opening date was changed to Thursday, maybe the numbers will increase as from Thursday, because the president maybe will be coming. Yeah.
At the end of the day, we promote agriculture. We promote the products from our markets. We are doing also international markets for this, local market for this. So it's one of the initiatives to support our whatever we are producing.
I wonder how many people a 1.2-ton bull would feed, and whether the 700 kg bull is still surviving, and if not, how many people took part in it. Well, the government has suspended 2 import inspection and verification companies for flouting the country's pre-import standards and specifications regulations. This is after they were found culpable of allowing the entry of substandard products into the Kenyan market. Victor Kiprop reports on the latest effort to purge the vice that costs Kenya billions of shillings in lost revenue every year.
Beijing-based China Certification and Inspection Group CCIC operating in the China mainland zone and Geneva-based SGS operating in the East Asia zone are the first casualties of a multi-agency task force formed in March to lead Kenya's fight against counterfeits and other forms of illicit trade. The 2 multinationals have been indefinitely suspended by the government for, among other things, failing to inspect their goods as required by the Kenya Bureau of Standards and failing to seal their cargo containers.
Importers are therefore advised to use the services of other contractors operating in the zones affected by this suspension. These suspensions take effect immediately.
All import goods destined for Kenya will, beginning this month, undergo mandatory inspection at their countries of origin before being allowed into the country under the Pre-Export Verification of Conformity to Standards Program (PVOC). The PVOC program was introduced in 2005, but an exemption allowing goods not inspected in their country of origin to be inspected on arrival, the government says, has been over time exploited by unscrupulous traders.
The general public and importers of goods into Kenya are therefore hereby informed that goods loaded on or after 1st of October 2018 will be expected to fully comply with the provisions of this. Goods loaded after that, which arrive at the port of entry without having gone through the PVOC process, will not be allowed into the country.
Meanwhile, in Kisii, businesses have been urged to cooperate with both the national and county governments in the fight against counterfeit and contraband goods in order to save their businesses from collapse.
We are aware of these counterfeits that are killing our own industry. We have some of these counterfeits that are killing also your own business. Somebody somewhere buying those cheap things, he comes when you bring them to the market, they sell cheaply. And then you who is doing a genuine business with a genuine product, unaona kwamba hakuna biashara unafanya.
According to the Kenya Association of Manufacturers, illicit trade denies Kenya about 200 billion shillings in lost revenue every year, about a third of the country's total exports. Victor Kiprop, NTV Business.
Well, the performance of the tourism sector will come under sharp focus as investors assess the impact of government-led interventions in a year of relatively subdued political risk. Notably, the uptake of the electronic visa will be a matter of significant interest as the government looks to shore up international arrivals following a relatively slow growth in 2017. Cabinet Secretary Najib Balala has called on the Tourism Board to accelerate diversification of the country's product to woo more tourists.
But our brothers in the continent of Africa used to feel harassed to come to Kenya. But from January this year, even the African continent countries can be able to get on e-visa.
The government is looking to tap into partnerships established through the Digital Literacy Program to scale up the potential for local manufacturing of ICT devices. Rolled out in 2013, the first phase of the Digital Literacy Program entailed local assembly of laptops for distribution to public primary schools, with the ambitious target of growing the manufacturing sector's contribution to the economy from 9.2% of the gross domestic product to 15%. The government is on the hunt for ways through which it can spur value addition. The ICT authority says it is engaging the firms contracted with the assembly of laptops to build capacity for local manufacture.
Contract with through Moi University, they are partnering with an organization called JP Puto from Spain, and Jomo Kenyatta University got into partnership with a company called Positivo from Brazil. Those two have already got assembly lines going on, Jomo Kenyatta and Moi University, and that's the one we are now moving to another stage of not just assembling ready-made kits, but actually manufacturing.
Business conditions in the country improved much slower in the month of September, hitting a 10-month low. This is according to the latest Purchasing Managers Index by Stanbic Bank. The PMI averaged 52.7, down from 54.6 in August. Stanbic says this slow expansion was due to the new taxes.
We've seen that the average is now at around 53 in the third quarter from that 55.6 in the second quarter, suggesting to us that there are some underlying concerns that were brewing within the Kenyan private sector. One of those concerns was definitely the uncertainty with the new fiscal year tax measures that were introduced at the end of September. I think the market was generally very concerned about this since the beginning of July, when they were initially announced in the budget. The private sector was trying to get their head around what this would mean for their business.
That's it for the business news.
NTV Business News in association with Safaricom Business.
Let's get your business ready for today's challenges and tomorrow's opportunities with Safaricom Business Digital Solutions.
Dennis Okari and Olive Burrows.
Welcome back. Mwelu Mutua, a 7-year-old girl who was involved in an accident last week, Friday, has had her leg amputated. She was on a border with her father when a police car hit them, killing the father on the spot.
The family now wants the government to take action on the police officer who was allegedly drunk when he knocked them.
She lies in pain, slowly recuperating from her surgery. A scar that will forever be engraved on her. After demonstrations on Monday, police finally relented and residents managed to move her to Makueni Level 4 hospital.
When we received Juliana, we immediately took her to the theater. We did surgical debridement and later on we amputated the limb.
According to an eyewitness, the police vehicle involved was speeding when it veered off the road and knocked the border, killing the girl's father on the spot and leaving the girl in a critical state. The driver allegedly tried to escape, but the residents caught up with him. The child's mother, Penina Ndunge, said she wants justice as the police officer is still free and has faced no action. Residents had accused the Kilome nursing home where the girl was first taken of negligence, which led to the deteriorating state of her health. The Kilome nursing home administrator Muya Mulei, in his defense, stated that the institution did all that it could to try and save the child. The Imali OCPD Patrick Olonyi said the matter was under investigation by traffic police officers based in Sultan Hamud. The police officer who caused the accident is still at large in a matter under investigation by his colleagues. Helen Aura, NTV.
First Lady Melania Trump is currently in Ghana for her maiden solo tour of Africa. She visited Ridge Hospital.
A very good evening to you. It is time to play on NTV tonight. I am Warote Kiru. We start with volleyball, and the national women's volleyball team has to win against the Dominican Republic in its last preliminary round match to have a chance of sailing into the second round of the FIVB World Championships. The Malkia Strikers lost their third match in a row, falling to defending champions Brazil in straight sets of 25-13, 25-10, 25-16. Tandria Keiseta shone for Brazil with 11 points as Immaculate Chemutai led Kenya's charge with 9 points. The volleyball queens, coached by Jafet Munala, have lost to Serbia and Puerto Rico and only won against Kazakhstan in the Japan trip. The match against Dominican Republic will be at 10:10 tomorrow morning. The organizers of the Safaricom Madoka Half Marathon are working on plans to set up holiday season training camps to aid in the tapping of talent in the region. This was announced during the launch of the 13th edition of the meet that would be held on Mashujaa Day in the hills of Taita Taveta. Among those expected to grace the race are defending champions Isaac Kipkoech and Nancy Kiprop, as well as local superstar Panuel Mukungo, the winner of the Philadelphia and Miami Half Marathons, who was discovered at this race. 12,000 athletes are expected to compete in different categories.
We feel that as part of our responsibility in that effort to nurture talent, we should be able to organize training and coaching courses during the holidays, the Easter holidays, August holidays, and December, so that we can really nurture that talent.
Now, Kenyan Premier League champions Gor Mahia will face Zoo Kericho in Thursday's solitary match at the Kenyatta Stadium in Machakos. Meanwhile, Mathare United are dancing to the OD beat after betting company OD Bets is their financial worries with a 3-year, 60 million shilling sponsorship deal. The Slum Boys, who started the 2018 season with a bang, consistently placing in the top 5 in the first leg, have struggled in the second leg as the cash crunch occasioned by the departure of Britam and Betway beat. Mathare, coached by Francis Kimanzi, will be hoping the cash injection boosts their performance in the new KPL season that kicks off in December. Cosmas Korir today received 208.7 million shillings from SportPesa, the third biggest payout in Africa's gaming history. The newest SportPesa mega jackpot winner correctly predicted 17 out of 17 games to win. He has pledged to use his newfound wealth to better his community. Korir vied for the Konoin parliamentary seat last year without success. He was informed of his win on Sunday and was officially unveiled at a ceremony in Nairobi where he received his mega check from SportPesa officials. And that's every quote-unquote investor's dream. And I know quite a lot of people are just saying, moja tu ndio liliangusha. And sports has started reaping the benefits of devolution, with Meru County among the counties to taste the fruits with the purchase of sport equipment worth 24 million shillings. The equipment was purchased by ward development funds, with the 37 ward representatives proposing the sporting discipline they were given priority in this financial year. Additional thought was given to possibility of the equipment being a possible income stream for the youth. Among the equipment purchased was nets, table tennis equipment, footballs, volleyballs, boots and running shoes, as well as hockey sticks. Incidentally, 7 footballers from the Meru County Assembly football team have been picked to represent Kenya in the inter-county games in Rwanda in December.
This thing will not stop at the ward level. We are going to support you to make sure that our youth are supported and they are busy in sports across the year.
The Kenya Motorsport and Rugby Fraternity are mourning the death of South Coast Pirates Rugby Club chairman and founder George Baba, who passed away today following a long illness. Baba became a household name in the 1970s and 80s when he competed in several safari rallies while also playing for the national 15s rugby team. He also turned out for a combination of Nakuru and Kitale in the Kenya Cup. More recently, Baba founded the Kwale County-based South Coast Pirates along with the Coast Premier Rugby Tournament, the Diani Touch Rugby, which celebrated its 10th anniversary earlier this year. In the recent past, Kenya rugby fans have been treated to drama at the Kenya Rugby Union, and it seems that sports management is a problem across the continent. Factional wars at the Namibia Rugby Union have blown up, leading to a report in the Namibian, a newspaper in that country, of one faction threatening to withdraw Namibia from the 2019 Rugby World Cup. This article, which appears to be a major bluff in the union tough wars, has caused ripples in the Kenyan rugby scene, as should Namibia withdraw, Kenya's symbols would stand to benefit. But as it stands, Kenya has to battle it out at the global repechage in France in November for the last remaining Japan 2019 slot. Now, already 2 matches have been played this evening in the UEFA Champions League. First up, PSG. 208 million shillings.
208 million shillings. Build several mansions. Yeah.
I'll buy a whole county.
Can you buy a county with 208 million shillings?
Basically buy land.
And one for you. We have one for you today, Warode. How much meat do you eat in one sitting?
Wow.
Warode in trouble.
Okay, how much meat can you eat in one sitting?
Okay, that's a trick question.
Beef.
So no.
No.
What's a trick?
It's a trick question.
It's a trick question.
How many kgs of meat? Half a kg, quarter?
The best number I've ever done is 3/4.
3/4.
Yeah, 3/4.
Okay, for me, I'll go for half. Okay, a quarter on
but
a regular.
it depends. Boiled,
it depends, exactly.
fried,
yes.
Roasted, depends.
I can do half a kg comfortably.
You do half?
Yeah. Okay, anyway, the point of the question is this. There is a 1.2 ton bull.
Yeah.
Going up for auction at the Nairobi International Trade Fair. We're going on Friday, yeah?
We want to go to
the
and but
we may
Tiger
just
Power
bid.
I don't know that Tiger Power is there. Back in the days, we used to go to the show because of Tiger Power. But hang on, 1,200 kilos.
Yes.
If a kilo is
Of a
500,
bull.
that's like over 500,000.
Last year, President Uhuru Kenyatta bought a 700 kg bull for 1.2 million.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now with the 208 million jackpot, I'll buy so many bulls. That's all we have for you. My name is Dennis Okari.
And that is definitely something to look forward to. My name is Olive Burrows, and David Agondoa has been our sign language